by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years trying to get other people interested in you. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's from How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Changed my business, so read it. Okay. Power off. Can I shut the computer? Will it go off?
Oh, it should go off. I just shut it off.
Oh, awesome. That's so better. All right. Hi. Hello, San Diego. My name is Breanne Kerr, and I am a Black Status presenter with Younique. And I am so excited to be in San Diego speaking right now. I spent my entire 20s in San Diego. I lived here for 10 years. I became an adult in San Diego, so to speak. I did a lot of playing in San Diego. And San Diego is a huge part of my story. And so I'm kind of a little bit emotional, and I'm not an emotional person, you guys. Like, it gets a lot to get me crying. And I'm very, God, it's very, very amazing to actually be here. So I moved to San Diego when I was 21 years old with everything that I owned in the back of an old ski van from Colorado. And I was homeless for a good month and a half in San Diego with everything I owned in the back of my van. And if there is any place in the world to be homeless at, it's in San Diego. It was really, really easy. I survived off of a California burrito every single day. I would eat half in the morning, and then I'd eat half in the evening, and it was awesome. And I was 21, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. I was a massage therapist, and so eventually I found a gig at a chiropractic office. I played a lot in San Diego. I finally got my certificate, my license in California, and I opened up Estancia La Jolla Hotel and Spa up in Torrey Pines. I was part of the first massage therapists that opened up that spa, and I worked there for about 8 years. Met my husband in San Diego. He was a musician of a band called Airport 81 in the middle of the 2000s, 2005. They were voted the best electronic band in San Diego, and they were awesome. I was a photographer, so I followed around bands all around the tour around the country, and I would take a picture, and it was fun, and I had a real good time. So that's my little San Diego. Me and my husband got married in 2008, and hold on, I'm gonna back up. I'm getting ahead of myself, you guys. So, I've never done direct sales before. I was a massage therapist. I was a photographer. I love people. I was a birth doula. So I empowered women some of the hardest, difficult times in their life. I had never done direct sales before. Living in San Diego, and I ended up in North Carolina. My husband, right before I met my husband, his mom got diagnosed with cancer. And so we got married. We were engaged for like 3 months. We really rushed the wedding because his mom was really sick. About a year later, his mom passed away. The day after his mom passed away was my baby shower. I was 8 months pregnant with my first baby. And we decided to go ahead with the baby shower because it was really important to his mom. She had ordered cookies for it and stuff, and so we did. And my husband grew up in San Carlos, La Mesa. That's where we were living at the time. And after the baby shower, they all went back to his dad's house. And all of a sudden, I was in the bathtub, and I got this call from my husband. I usually don't share this with my story, and I just heard the phone ringing and ringing, and I jumped up, and I was huge and pregnant. I think I was 9 months pregnant. And they went back over to his dad's house, and my husband discovered his older brother dead. And so his mom died one day, his brother died the next. We had a double funeral that week. It was pretty horrible. And that was the day that my husband's post-traumatic stress disorder started. My husband, a couple months later, decided the way that he was going to heal his broken heart was to join the Army at 32 years old. He was a ocean lifeguard. He worked for the city of San Diego. He worked for Coronado. He had like the best job ever, right? And he traded his flip-flops for combat boots and went in as an E3. And if any of you guys know Army talk, he went as a private. And so we had a pretty good income, like we were making together like $56,000 a year. And all of a sudden it got cut down to $23,000 a year. And I had a baby by then, Charlie. She's my first, she's 7 now. And we packed everything up and we moved to Fayetteville, North Carolina, from San Diego, California. And it was a big change. And that's, you know, he didn't tell me he was joining the Army. He came home and he had joined the Army, and this is what he was doing. And it was really, really hard. We moved out there, and obviously I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I needed to generate my own income, and that's when I used my massage therapist skills and my love of birth and my love of women, and I became a birth doula. I started working for a home birth midwife. I went to the farm, I studied with Ina May Gaskin, and I became a monitress, so I attended home births in Fayetteville, many for women who were birthing by themselves because their husbands were overseas. It was an amazing thing. I also taught baby wearing, and I supported women that were breastfeeding, and I was a postpartum doula, and it was awesome. And I was able to kind of do this around also, you know, having babies and being a mama, and my husband overseas in Afghanistan. He was gone for a year. My husband got injured overseas. His FOB, his forward operating base, got blown up, and he suffered lower back injuries. And he had already had the post-traumatic stress disorder, joined the Army, didn't heal his heart. And so when he got back from Afghanistan, we knew he was going to get medically retired. And when he did that, we didn't really know what we were going to do. One of my really good friends joined another direct sales company, I guess it was a good year and a half before, and she's now one of their top earners. I saw her do this. So that really, really inspired me. I knew this was for real. I did not want to sell what she was selling. So I was like, keeping my feelers out there. I'm like, man, if she could do this, I could do this. That's where it starts, you guys. It starts by being inspired. I was literally on Facebook one night, and I had a friend, and she was like 10 months pregnant. I swear she was like 4 weeks overdue. And she was complaining. Like, her post was just like, I am so tired. People selling things on Facebook. And she listed off all these companies. Now, I was in a really established Army community by then, so I have lots of friends. I mean, direct sales is huge in Army and military because we're ladies that are at home, that aren't making any money, that need to generate income, and it's a big community, you know? Always supported direct sellers. I had never heard of Younique, and that was light bulb number one. And so I immediately hopped on and I looked them up, and being kind of like a crunchier mama, a naturally mama, a little hippie mama, I saw the ingredients. And it wasn't, and I loved how upfront we were with the ingredients. That made me really happy, because you know what, a lot of cosmetic companies aren't. And then I saw the mission: uplift, empower, and validate, and something just hit me, and I just knew. Now, I hadn't worn makeup in years, friends. Like, I had Bare Minerals I had bought before I had my first baby still in my makeup bag. It was disgusting. And so I messaged my friend, who was this top earner in the other company, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do Younique. And she's like, oh my gosh, all right. I was like, do you know of somebody, I think I need a sponsor? Do you know of somebody I could sign up with? She's like, actually, I do. I know Amber Voigt. And she sent me Amber Voigt's website, and I signed up with Amber Voigt, and then I messaged Amber Voigt, and I'm like, hi, I'm Bree. Surprise! And I said to her that night, I said, I'm going to be a Black status presenter. And she's like, hi, here's my number, here's Team Sparkle, woo, here we go. Hi, and that's what we do. I mean, I joined a very big team. You know, my sponsor is, she sponsors a lot of people, and so she added me on her team page. It was kind of overwhelming. It was a really, really big team page, and the page was moving, and the notifications were crazy, and it was really exciting. And something happened the night that I signed up with Younique, friends. I had this feeling from the top of my head to the bottom of my toes that this is what's going to change my life, and I knew it. My dad is a salesman, and I messaged him and I said, I'm doing this. And you know what? He believed in me. He knew that I was going to do this. And after that, I was off to the races. I've never done direct sales before. I've never done sales before. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it didn't matter. And I knew that if I want to be a mascara millionaire, I needed to grow a team. I needed to figure out what I was doing. I needed to do that real quick. And that's exactly what I did. I listened to every single team call I could. I listened to everything on Amber. If Amber told me to jump, I said, how high? And she said, go read GoPro. I'd go read and read it twice. You know, and I started immediately growing my team. Now, I created my team page when I had one presenter, and my first presenter was my little sister, and she said she was 18, she's 18, and she signed up like 2 days after me, and I started my team page then because the Team Sparkle at that point, I think there was already 20,000 people in it, and it was really, really overwhelming. I didn't know that you needed to create a team group. I did it because I wanted the best for her. I wanted it to be easy for her. You know, and this is a really, really, really important thing that looking back, I can see this, is that we work for your team. They do not work for me. You know, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I wanted her to have as much good stuff as possible. You know, you run your team, you inspire your team, and you do it at the head of the pack, holding up a light, going through that dark tunnel. We're gonna do this together. The name of my team is Team Awesome. I didn't think for 5 seconds what I was going to name my team. Some people do. Some people spend months thinking about their team name. I didn't. I was like, this is gonna be so awesome, Team Awesome. And that's the name of my team. We are pretty awesome, I have to say. So I started my team, and my team started growing, and because I had never done direct sales before, and I'm like, how does one go from birth to selling makeup? And so, but all my friends were like, huh? What if Breanne's doing this? That must be pretty legit. My team started growing. It started growing pretty fast. I heard Amber's message about attraction marketing, about how this business is about adding value to people's lives and empowering women, and I knew that because that's all I knew how to do. I used to run a really large natural birth and parent group on Facebook, so I knew how to run groups. I knew how to empower women. I knew how to run groups, and so that's exactly what I did. I didn't run Team Awesome like, oh my God, everybody listen to me, I know what I'm doing, because I had no idea what I was doing. But that's not what inspires people. You don't inspire people by knowing all the things. You inspire people by taking them arm in arm and said, let's go figure it out. And that's exactly what we did. About 2 months into my Younique journey, I started to get really, really sick. I have PR malformation that was discovered when I was 22. It's a malformation of the back of my head. So my cerebellum was literally falling out of my head. It never really given me much problems, and all of a sudden one morning I woke up and I couldn't get out of bed. And I was really, really sick. I had vertigo really, really bad, pain in all of my body, and I've had pain for years and years and years. Never really knew what it was. They like to really brush everything under the rug by saying, oh, it's fibromyalgia. Oh, you have chronic fatigue, you're an army wife, you're just exhausted, you know? But that wasn't it. And so when we realized that I was super duper sick, the decision was made that I needed to have surgery. Now throughout this entire time, I'm super pumped. I'm running a team. I got a mission. I'm building a business. I'm gonna be a billionaire. You know? It was that's how passionate I was about this. And, but you know what? We could work from our phone. You know? I didn't know a lot of things during this time. It was very, very dark. It took me a good hour and a half to sit up and get my makeup done because I would get so dizzy with vertigo. And I didn't know how I was going to get to the grocery store to get my family food. I didn't know if my children were gonna like me because I couldn't get out of bed to do stuff. But I never questioned if I could run my Younique business because it brought me so much joy. My girls, I wanted them to be mascara millionaires. I wanted what I could get for them. And so it was almost like it gave me this light in such a dark time. You know, one of the keys, and Derek will say this, in this business, is you build their checks and your check will grow. You create more and more and more leaders because it's about their success. Then you will become successful, and that's what I did. I just focused on my girls. I am having brain surgery in October, so 4 months after I joined Younique, I had brain surgery. I had to go all the way up to New York for my surgery. In the airport on the way up there, I broke my foot. So I broke my foot 2 days before brain surgery. It was horrible. They actually removed part of my brain. That was squishing my brainstem and my spinal cord. And I was in a wheelchair for months and months. 2 days after brain surgery, still in the hospital, I had purple status. It was amazing. It was. I still look back, and it was a really great moment. And 3 months later, I had black status. On the 21st, so next week, it will be my black anniversary. So I've been black status for a year. And I have been absolutely blessed with women that are better than me and my team. They run better parties than I do. They can sell the crap out of some makeup. They have amazing ideas. Oh, my girls are so brilliant. And let me tell you what, I make darn sure that every single day they know how good they are. I don't go in on my team page pretending I know all this stuff. Our mission of our company is to uplift, to empower, and to validate, not overpower. This is a really big thing because when you are a passionate, driven woman, sometimes our personalities can be really big. Or sometimes we really feel like we know all this stuff and we need to tell you all this stuff. Well, I'm sitting here and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this. I might be stifling your golden genius in your head. You know, I have, the one thing that my team has is an amazing retention rate. Girls come into my awesome family and a lot of times they don't leave. And this is really important, you guys, because they're part of a family and they feel really good. You know, I have women on my team that maybe qualify every month. They don't really care about becoming mascara cajillionaires. They just really love to be a part of my family. And they are so important. Every welcome post, she is right there. She is my cheerleader. Charlene, she's awesome. She is just as important to my team as my 4 girls running for black status this month. And she knows it. Because we uplift, we empower, and we validate. Now, when you can switch your mindset of this business to know that it is about your girls and how do you empower somebody, how do you make them feel like if she can do it, I can do it. You don't need to go have part of your brain removed. Like, that's just kind of a crazy part of my story that I like to share, but you don't have to go to that extent. You just have to make people feel good. How do you do that? By looking at them, by shutting your mouth and listening to them. You know, we've had lots of questions in this panel about, sponsorship and connecting with people. I never, if any of my new girls come in and I tell them exactly how to run their business, ever. You don't spoon feed leaders. You don't spoon feed leaders. You don't micromanage your team. That's, you can, it's exhausting. It doesn't mean it's going to be super duper great, because you know what, their ideas are probably better than yours. You create an environment where people feel like they are going to be heard when they say something. Whether if they're super excited about working their business this month and maybe not so much next, they know that they are always at home when they're with you and they're in the group, because that's the community and the culture that we create. I knew this I had this experience with people. I had this experience with empowering women through some of the most difficult things that a woman can go through, which is childbirth, and letting them know that they can, being that constant, I'm here for you. Not pressuring people to sell the makeup. That's not my story. My story is making and letting people know, women, and some men, we have men on my team too, inside, that they can absolutely do this. And that is I have 4 women from my success line that are running for black status this month. I didn't do that. I didn't grow them. I nurtured them. I watered my garden. And that's we water our gardens. My garden of awesome. We don't do that by shedding all the sunlight. That's not how you grow a good garden. You don't do it by giving it all the water. That's not how you do it. You do it by seeing exactly what kind of plants you're trying to grow and figuring out exactly what they need. It's a balance. But the more that you know your team, the better. It's about relationships. It's about relationships with the women on your team. It's about relationships with the customers that you make. You know, we live in a world, and especially when you work on social media, where everybody is like this. Talk is starting to become a thing of the past. It's kind of sad. Now we're humans, we crave that connection. Connect with somebody. They will walk with you to the end of the earth if you cast that light on them. You know, be somebody who makes people feel good. So I had my brain surgery, I had Black status, I was still super sick. And I didn't get any better from brain surgery. Wah, wah. My head felt a little lighter, but I was still not doing really well. Last year I got diagnosed with EDS, it's called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so it's connective tissue disorder. So I've always been Gumby, very, very flexible. Well, when your joints are constantly subluxating your entire life, just sleeping, you know, I stretch in my sleep, I throw my spine out. They eventually get tired of doing that, and your muscles and your joints are in chronic pain all the time. It's a sister disorder of Chiari malformation. And so I am still chronically ill most of the time. This is a very special occasion for me because I'm out of the house. We are so blessed that we can touch so many people's lives and work our business in our slippers if we want. We can do it if we are sick. We can do it if we have 1 billion babies. Some of us have 1 billion babies. You know, you can do it. The hurdles and the walls that are in front of you, they don't matter. What matters is your why. What do you want to do? You know, how many people are you going to lift up? That's my story, friends. That's my story. And we moved back to Colorado. My husband got medically retired from the Army in April. And we moved to Colorado. We decided not to come back to San Diego. You guys are gonna run out of water. So we ended up going to Colorado, to Denver. And my son, actually in October, got diagnosed with Chiari malformation and tethered cord. And he had his first spinal surgery in January. It's one thing when you dealing with your own sickness. It's another thing when one of your babies. And it's that has kind of thrown me for a loop. It's so amazing, though, that we can work our business around our life. You know, I just started seeing new doctors and a whole other agenda for what's going on with me for later this year. And my doctor wanted me to file disability because I'm chronically ill. I can't really leave the house. And I don't have to. I don't have to. My husband's retired. Not only does he not have to look for a job, he gets to be at home with his babies after years of being apart from them. He also is able to heal his broken heart finally. And so my kids have 2 full-time parents. You know, it's crazy. What we have right here is an ability to completely rearrange how people think about business. You know, we make a life, not just a living. You know, we have the ability to put our children first because we're with them all day long, because we can be when you empower and lift up everybody around you. You know, I've never once pressured any of my personals to do anything. I've listened to what they've wanted. What do you want? What do you see yourself doing? You know, you cannot motivate people, but you can inspire the crap out of them. You know? And when you are thinking in that servant leadership is wanting to lift your team up. I would want to find out all the things for them, any inspiring things that I see. I would share it with them. When you're trying to lift your team up into servant leadership, you will succeed. You don't have to know things to sponsor. You start sponsoring right now. If you're not, what the heck are you waiting for? Knowing all of the stuff isn't going to make you a great leader. What's going to make you a great leader is inspiring all the people, is listening and being there for them. And you can do that if you're sick. You can do that right after You know, you've had surgery, you can do that when you have other babies. You can do that if you're working outside of yourself. Amazing things happen. You know, being back in San Diego, it just gives me goosebumps that I'm coming back here as a leader of an international cosmetic company. It's amazing, right? Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk, you know, 15 years ago when I rolled into San Diego in a beat-up black ski van, right? I would have never predicted this for my future. This is way better than I could have ever imagined for myself. Something happened the night that I joined with Younique.
You wear makeup now.
Yeah, people say, it's like, man, Bree's looking good. Have you seen Bree lately? She is looking good. You know, yeah, it's amazing what can happen when you follow your gut. And you're sitting right here, so you have the world at your fingertips. The world's at your fingertips, man. You can do whatever you want to do. You just have to make the decision to do it. I became a Black status presenter the night that I signed up with Younique. I just hadn't been recognized yet. You know, and it's true. You know, and I don't sit up here pretending that I know all this stuff or there's any difference between me and somebody who just signed up yesterday, because gosh darn it, it's not. We're always working our business. You know, I was book my parties, sponsor my people. We are always working basics. And when you are running at the head of the pack, holding up the light, trying to figure out the best way to have parties for you with your girls, the best way to have events for your girls, do all this, you do that by doing it. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've seen somebody get to a leader position and they stop working their business. Their PRS drops because they're all about leadership all of a sudden. They're just like, I gotta lead my team, gotta lead my team. I'm like, hey, you gotta sell your makeup too, because that's how you are constantly figuring out how to do it. You run with your girls. You don't sit over here coaching, woo, run faster. Yeah, that's not the way that you do it, you guys. You have to know firsthand how to lead your team, how to sell the makeup, how to do all of this stuff, and you do it by doing it. And we could do it by whatever way that you want to do. You can do it if you work on the phone all the time or if you're on your computer all the time. We're all different. We all have different market, you know? So it makes us so great. We are so blessed to be with the company that we're with. You know, the fact that we have waiting lists on top of waiting lists on top of a waiting list to get their hands on freaking foundation is absolutely out of this world, you guys. It's amazing. That's the power of social media. That's all that is. That's the power of social media. You know, retail, they talked about Black Status Retreat. Retail stores everywhere are closing because e-commerce, videos, beauty blogs, and social media, movie blogs, did I say that? They started, man. Did they buy makeup? We were ahead of the pack when we started 3 years ago. You are a part of something that's the beginning. And that's really awesome. You know, so I'm going to stop talking and I just want you, my message is that you can. My message is them, is the customers, it's the women that are on your team. I don't care how far down, because eventually you get deep and you get wide. There's a lot of people on your team if you're working your business, right? It's about them. Connect with the people. You know, find out what they want and be their light. And thank you so much for having me come out. Any chance I have to come to San Diego, I take advantage of. I've been really sick ever since Black Status Retreat. I've quite literally been in bed. It's really hard for me, but I do it because you're the reason that I'm up here right now.